You know the hadith that says, تَتْبَعَ الْجَنَازَةَ ثَلَاثًا. Three things that will follow you in the janazah. Your family, your wealth, and your deeds. Your family will follow you, your wealth will follow you, and your deeds will follow you. Two things will come back, and one thing will stay with you. Your family will come back. They won't stay with you, no matter how good you are, and no matter how much they love you. As if you can hear the faint sound of your father, Ya bunay, oh my son, can't you remember when I was strong and you were weak? I was rich and you were poor. Now that I am weak and you are strong, and I am poor and you are rich, can you not take me back? Can you not stay with me? Wallahi, you will not take him back, nor that you will stay with him in the grave. No matter how much you love your father. No matter how many times he sweat poured off his forehead to put food on the table, roof over your head, clothes on your back. You know the only way that you can pay the debt of your father is you can see him enslaved and pay his ransom and set him free. That is the only way you can actually pay the debt of your father. Otherwise, you will never be able to pay the debt of your father. And your mother, don't even think about it. Now, the scholars will tell you, if your family will go back, they will not stay with you. And your wealth will be divided. And even the people that you made rich will not be able to help you in your grave. Because the only thing that will stay with you is your righteous deeds. So Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullahi alayhi, even now Sharh al-Imam al-Nawawi of Sahih Muslim, is فَأَحْسِنَ الرَّفِيقِ. Just be smart, intellectual individual, and be good to those who will keep you company in your grave. So who will keep you company in the grave, akhi? How many of us lose so many opportunities through our fingers that we waste so much time? And Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullah alayhi says on Judgment Day you will be تَبْكِي بَدَلَ الدُّمُوعَ دَمًا. By Allah, you will cry over the time that you wasted because you did not get righteous deeds in it. Instead of tears, you will cry blood. So, my dear brothers and sisters, the time is up. You know, it's amazing when the hadith says, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angel of death, or the angels, when the person reaches around, before you 60 years old, he says, أَعِدُّوا لَهُ الْمَوْتِ. Around 60 years old, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the angels, prepare death for him. But just in case you're wondering, I'm so far away from 60 because I see some young in the audience. How many times did we actually do janaza here for a teenager? Or a few years less, or even a few months after they're born, or even a few weeks after they're born, or even a few days after they're born, or a few hours after they're born, or even not yet born. So are you guaranteed anything? Wallahi, we're not guaranteed anything. However, the scholars, when they say the fuqara ila Allah, those who pour to Allah, says man kana lahu falaysa lahu wa man kana laysa lahu fahuwa lahu. Which means, if you think that you can do this on your own, you have none. If you think you can do none except by Allah, it is for you. And how do you do that? He says, you cannot guarantee the future. Know that you can regain the past. Which means the only thing you have right now is now. That's it. So do the best with what you got now. Because wallahi, this could be the last blink of the eye, last pulse of the heart, and last breath you take. That's all I'm going to leave you with. But if you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is most merciful, we never should despair. Because I know when I say these things, wallahi, it's hard. You think it's not hard? It's hard, difficult. I see the long faces, wallahi. It's difficult. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Musibatul maut. You know, musibah is calamity, is catastrophe, is difficulties, hardship. But also linguistically, musibah meaning it's like a target that is aiming for you. So what I want you to think, that you have a bullseye on your back. And the angel of death has an arrow. It's already released. But it's coming for you. No matter where you go, no matter where you hide, no matter how high the mountain you're going to climb, or deeper the hole you dig yourself into, that death is coming for you. No matter how high you get in the altitude of a plane, no matter the depth of the ocean, no matter where you go, death will get you. وَلَوْ كُنْتُمْ فِي بُرُوجٍ مُشَيَّدًا. Wallahi, in your fortified citadels, nothing will take away from that. Not even wealth, And it's a true story which I'll finish with, wallahi. Dr. Nabusi, Habibullah. He knows this man. He was one of the richest men. He had gold, everything. The highest level of whatever it is. The best clothes. The top of the line cars. Everything you think of. Drugs, alcohol, women. Everything you can think of that the people of the dunya love and run for. All of a sudden, he was in bed. And when he died that night, he made a very loud scream. He says everyone around him in the neighborhood heard him. And that night, he stayed in the grave. He left everything behind. He left all that gold, all these cars, all the businesses. He was a rich man. But the only thing you have to think about, akhi, is you have to be a happy person. You know, we're after happiness, but remember, the scholars will tell you, in this dunya it's temporary. Actually, it's not called pleasure, right? The pleasure is temporary. It's here, called pleasure. In the eternal after, it's called happiness. The true happiness. Why? Because pleasure is temporary. You know what that means? Okay, go ahead, commit a sin. You want to fornicate? Enjoy. But how long is it going to stay? A few minutes? A few hours? It will pass. Then what happens? The sin will stay. But the difficulties you go for, the qiyamul layl.